Team governor Jeannie Buss is contesting that her siblings vote to sell the family's remaining 17.8% share of the Lakers after the other Buss siblings voted to sell their remaining shares to Josh Kushner and Bob Iger at the same $12.5 billion valuation that Mark Walter agreed to last week.
Jeannie's point here is that they can't do anything without her, and she did not even vote in the family vote that took place.
A dynasty just got sold twice in 1 week, and nobody outside a courtroom was supposed to know that yet. 47 years of history, 17 championship banners hanging from the rafters, one family name stitched into every single one of them. All of it, apparently, gone in 5 days. But here's the part nobody saw coming. The part that turns this from a business headline into something much bigger. While the world was still processing the sale, a lawyer fired back with one single word: void. This is not simply a story about a team quietly changing hands between billionaires. This is a family tearing itself apart, in writing, in real time, with billions of dollars in an entire dynasty's legacy sitting right in the middle of the wreckage.
This is a wild story, and I actually think that this story proves that when you think about the Los Angeles Lakers over the last 2 years or so, the most shocking story.
Rewind to October 2025. The NBA officially approves the sale of the Los Angeles Lakers to Mark Walter, and 3 separate promises get carved directly into that announcement. Adam Silver personally vouches for Walter, calling him a committed steward of the franchise going forward. Jeannie Buss is guaranteed to remain governor for a minimum of 5 full years. And the Buss family keeps its remaining ownership stake, the one it has held continuously since 1979. 291 days later, every single one of those promises is broken beyond repair. Walter agreed to sell his stake entirely. Jeannie's governor title is gone completely. The entire remaining piece of the franchise is gone right along with it. The only part of that original announcement still standing today is the price, and even that number quietly changed, jumping by $2.5 billion in less than a single year.
There are a lot of numbers, percentages, and Jeannie Buss in the middle of all of this, Canty. This feels like drama that just will not go away with this Lakers.
Here's the actual timeline, and the sheer speed of it alone should bother you. Sunday, Josh Kushner and Bob Iger approach Mark Walter directly about buying the team. He genuinely wasn't shopping it around at all. Wednesday morning, the number breaks publicly, $12.5 billion, a massive jump from the previous valuation. That same afternoon, Iger tells reporters he fully intends to honor the existing agreement with Jeannie, then immediately adds a very telling condition right after: if things change, then they'll change. Thursday, Kushner publicly insists the Buss family stays involved going forward. By Saturday, a bombshell report names 4 separate businesses tied to Walter that federal prosecutors are now actively investigating. Monday morning, the Buss family agrees to sell its entire remaining stake to Kushner and Iger without warning. Once that sale closes, Jeannie can no longer hold the governor's chair because league rules require at least 15% ownership just to sit in that seat. 5 days, every single promise, completely gone.
To understand how big this fall actually is, you need to understand what the family built to protect itself. The 2025 deal wasn't a rushed sale. It was engineered down to the decimal point. The Buss family kept 17.8%, deliberately parked just above the 15% threshold that let Jeannie keep her chair. Each sibling walked away with roughly $500 million after taxes. The family name stayed on the franchise. Every protection built into that structure was tied to one man, Mark Walter, personally, not to the institution itself. And that safety net came at a real, painful cost behind the scenes. Years earlier, Jeannie fought her own brothers hard for control of this team, and once she finally secured it, Jerry Buss's own grandsons got quietly pushed out in a front office purge that followed shortly after. She traded family peace to build this guarantee. The guarantee turned out to be nothing more than a handshake, and the handshake just walked out the door. Analysts are already calling this sale bizarre, comparing it to how a premier franchise like this one is normally sold through a full competitive auction process, not a quiet 5-day handoff between insiders. The comparison people keep making is how a superstar sometimes gets quietly moved off a roster without ever officially hitting the trade block, shipped out like damaged goods before the public even knows it's happening.
And four of the family members, 4 of the 6 siblings, voted to sell the shares that were remaining in this latest deal. So I just don't understand how Jeannie Buss is going to be able to hold on to the modicum of power that she still has.
Saturday's report is where this entire situation gets genuinely serious. Federal prosecutors in the SEC are examining 4 separate businesses connected to Walter, looking closely into loans that are reportedly moved through related entities without full disclosure to regulators along the way. Insurance companies are technically allowed to lend money to related parties under the law, but those loans absolutely must be reported, since it's policyholder money on the line, and disclosure is the entire foundation of that industry. Walter's companies reported roughly $1 billion total in these related loans. The real figure now being examined is apparently closer to $16 billion, a staggering gap between what was disclosed and what actually happened. The entire investigation reportedly started with an internal whistleblower complaint from someone inside the company itself. To be fair, nobody has been formally charged with anything at this point, and Walters' camp maintains that everything about these deals was legitimate. But the timing next to a 5-day sale is genuinely impossible to ignore. Now here's where it gets personal. There are 3 ways to read why the Buss family sold. 1, they saw the writing on the wall and cashed out before their leverage disappeared. 2, it was simply smart money, since waiting made their final stake worth roughly $445 million more than it was 10 months earlier. But the third read is the darkest. Back in 2017, Jeannie's own brothers tried to remove her from power entirely. She won in court, and the ruling protected her share as long as the family owned the Lakers. That protection worked for years, but it never accounted for the family simply selling everything out from under her. Once the ownership hits 0, there's no chair left to protect. And there's history here too, and it cuts deep. Jeannie's own sister once told a court under oath that she genuinely believed her brothers wanted to dissolve the family trust purely so they could cash out their interests entirely. That testimony happened 9 years ago. This week, the trust actually sold. And then, in the middle of reporting all of this, everything changed again. Jeannie Buss had said absolutely nothing publicly since the sale broke. That silence just ended, not through her own voice, but through her lawyer. A letter obtained by reporters states that any vote to sell the family's stake is void, built on a 2017 court order requiring trustees to keep the family above that 15% line, specifically to protect her chair. The letter accuses her own brothers of years of leaking false and damaging information about her. It threatens breach of fiduciary duty. It threatens contempt of court. And the numbers inside that letter are brutal. The vote to sell was 5-0, with Jeannie not even participating, meaning every single other sibling voted against her, including her sister who once stood beside her against her brothers, and including her own co-trustee. The lawyer who wrote this letter is the exact same attorney who beat those same brothers in court back in 2017. Same family, same courtroom fight, a completely new chapter. This means the family's original public statement, the one where they said they decided together to exit gracefully while they still can, might not have reflected Jeannie's actual position at all, might not have even been hers to sign off on in the first place. Her lawyer is now arguing, in writing, formally, that the decision was never valid to begin with, that it was pushed through without proper authority. What looked like a clean, tidy handoff of the most famous franchise in basketball has become a genuine, messy legal battle playing out simultaneously in a courtroom and in a boardroom, with the league's own board of governors potentially being asked in September to approve a transaction that the team's own controlling owner is publicly calling void. And remember, this is the same lawyer who beat these exact same brothers in court once already, back in 2017. He knows this family's legal history better than almost anyone alive on Earth. This isn't a new fight starting from scratch, not even close. It's the same war reopening years later with much higher stakes and a far bigger prize sitting on the table this time around. 47 years of history, 17 championship banners hanging above that court. A family that already survived one civil war years ago and is now fighting a second one over the exact same crown. Nobody outside that family trust knows the full truth yet, and honestly, most of us watching from outside probably never fully will, no matter how many leaked letters eventually surface. What we do know for certain is this: a deal that was carefully built to protect one woman's legacy collapsed in less than a single year, and the fight over what happens next is no longer happening quietly behind closed doors out of public view. It's happening in letters between lawyers, in courtroom filings, and soon in front of the entire league at a boardroom table. Whatever comes out of this fight, the Los Angeles Lakers, as the world has known them for nearly 5 decades, just changed forever, permanently in front of everyone watching. Subscribe right now.